Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is practically invisible, but absolutely vital. I mean, think about modern megastructures, airports, high-rise towers, massive sprawling data centers. Managing the sheer amount of electrical power required to keep those giants running, and doing it safely, is just a monumental task. Seriously? Just imagine the nightmare of routing thousands of heavy conventional cables up a 100-story skyscraper or across a massive industrial plant. The incredible weight, the intense heat they generate, the physical space they take up, not to mention the absolute chaos of trying to trace a single fault. It's basically a logistical impossibility for today's power demands. So how do engineers actually solve this? Well, that exact problem is what our topic today brilliantly resolves. Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap for today. First up, understanding BBT. Second, how BBT routes power. Third, essential maintenance. Fourth, faults and troubleshooting. And finally, safety and standards.
Section 1. Understanding BBT, the modern power artery.
So what is a busbar trunking system, or BBT for short? Essentially, it's the elegant, highly modular solution to large-scale electrical transmission. It's a completely factory-assembled distribution system. Instead of dealing with massive bundles of flexible wires, we're using rigid, heavily insulated copper or aluminum busbars, and they're all securely enclosed inside a protective metal housing. It literally replaces the need for huge, messy cable trays, bringing order, safety, and just immense capacity to power distribution. You can kind of think of a BBT's anatomy like a living organism. You've got the copper or aluminum bus bars, which, by the way, are usually tin or silver plated to lower resistance, and these act as the main arteries carrying the lifeblood of the building, the electricity. Then the epoxy or polyester insulation keeps that energy safely contained, while the earthed metal enclosure acts as a protective skeleton. You also have joint packs connecting the modular sections together and tap-off boxes. Those act a lot like capillaries, safely diverting the power exactly where it's needed for individual loads. And since these systems naturally get warm, expansion joints compensate for any thermal changes, while the supports and hangers hold the whole shebang firmly in place. What's truly fascinating here is how this system makes long, traditional cable runs completely obsolete. Because of that rigid busbar design, we're talking about a significantly lower voltage drop and much, much better heat dissipation. It boasts a massive current carrying capacity packed into a surprisingly compact footprint. Plus, installation is a breeze. It's modular, so you're basically snapping sections together like giant building blocks. That modularity also means expanding the system later on is super easy. Add in reduced maintenance, vastly improved fire safety, and overall higher reliability, and it's pretty clear why BBT is the absolute industry standard. The best part is how the design adapts perfectly to specific, real-world needs. For basic overhead lighting, you've got lighting bus bars handling anywhere from 25 to 63 amps. General floor distribution uses plug-in bus bars, pushing up to 1,600 amps. But when you need to move massive amounts of power directly from a main transformer, that's where feeder bus bars come in, handling an incredible 6,300 amps. To put that into perspective, that is enough current to power hundreds of average homes at the exact same time. The system just scales effortlessly to the demand. Let's move to Section 2, how BBT routes power, the path of electricity. Let's actually trace the step-by-step journey of the electricity here. It all begins at the real heart of the operation, the transformer. The raw power leaves that transformer and immediately enters the main distribution board, or MDB. From the MDB, the power is fed directly into the heavy-duty BBB feeder. As the current races down these highly conductive bus bars, with almost zero resistance, mind you, it reaches the plug-in tap-off boxes. These boxes safely pull the power from the main line and distribute it right to the specific electrical loads. We're talking HVAC systems, heavy pump motors, or massive lighting panels. Because this power delivery method is so incredibly reliable, you are going to find these systems deployed in the most vital applications imaginable. We are talking about critical infrastructure where a power failure is simply not an option. Hospitals where lives are on the line, the hyperscale data centers that literally keep the internet running, major airports, and heavy manufacturing plants. They all completely rely on the backbone of a BBT system. All right, Section 3, essential maintenance, keeping the system alive. Now, maintaining these giants is broken down into very strict phases. Step 1 is, without a doubt, the absolute most critical, safety preparation. Before you even think about touching anything, you have to get a work permit. You perform strict lockout/tagout procedures to fully isolate the supply.
You verify there is zero voltage and you get your arc-rated PPE on. Only then do you move to step 2, visual inspection, where you're hunting for rust, dust buildup, or any signs of water getting in. Next is the electrical inspection. Here you're specifically looking for discoloration, burn marks, or loose joints. Finally, step 4 is thermographic inspection. Following those strict safety protocols, you use a thermal camera while the system is energized under its normal load to scan for any hidden hotspots.
Once we've isolated the system again, we move right into testing and restoration. Step 1 here is tightening. But, and this is a big but, you must apply the exact manufacturer torque values. Actually, over-tightening can be just as bad as a loose joint. It can crush the insulation and ruin the connection. Step 2 is the insulation resistance test, usually done with a 1000-volt tester checking phase to neutral, and phase to earth. Step 3 ensures the system is safely grounded via an earth continuity test. Step 4 is cleaning. You must only use a dry, lint-free cloth, a vacuum, or a non-conductive brush. Absolutely no water or conductive cleaners whatsoever. And finally, step 5 is the functional test, where you energize the system gradually and monitor closely for any abnormal noise, smells, or vibrations.
To stop issues before they even start, sticking to a proactive schedule is huge. Visual inspections, those need to happen monthly. Cleaning should occur every 6 months. Thermographic scans to catch that invisible heat buildup need to be done every 6 to 12 months. Annually, you've got to de-energize the whole system to verify joint torque and perform those insulation and earthing tests. And every 1 to 2 years, a completely comprehensive inspection is strictly mandated. If you stick to the schedule, the system will easily outlive the building itself.
Section 4, Faults and Troubleshooting, Defeating the Villains. Let's look at a few cause and effect scenarios for when things do go wrong. Say you spot a hot joint during a thermal scan. The villain there is almost always a loose connection, creating resistance. The remedy? De-energize the system and retorque or replace that joint. If the overall system has a high temperature reading, you're overloading it. You have to reduce the load or increase your capacity. A voltage drop is basically the system telling you there's a loose joint or an overload happening somewhere. Insulation failure? That's the villain of moisture or aging, requiring drying, repair, or full replacement. A breaker trip means a short circuit or a severe overload has occurred, and you've got to hunt down that exact fault. Finally, corrosion means humidity or water has breached the enclosure, which demands improved sealing and parts replacement right away. Which brings us to Section 5, Safety and Standards, the non-negotiables. I want to pause right here for a second because this is absolutely critical. This is the primary, unwavering directive: never, under any circumstances, open a live BBT enclosure. The sheer amount of arc flash energy contained inside is instantly lethal. Make no mistake, this is a life-saving rule. Think of these rules as the ultimate non-negotiable toolkit for every engineer and maintenance pro out there. You absolutely have to follow lockout/tagout procedures before touching a thing. Only ever use insulated tools. Always maintain the exact clearances specified by the manufacturer. Never just guess your measurements. Use freshly calibrated test instruments. Meticulously record all your inspection and test results so you can track any degradation over time. And look, if a section is damaged, you must replace it with compatible manufacturer-approved components. There are no quick DIY fixes on a system carrying thousands of amps. And all the procedures and designs we've talked about, they aren't just suggestions. They are strictly governed by international standards. IEC 614391 covers low-voltage switchgear assemblies, while IEC 614396 is specifically dedicated to Busbar Trunking Systems. You also have IEC 6364 for low-voltage installations. And depending on your region, NFPA 70, the National Electrical Code, dictates the installation practices. These standards are what ensure impartial, universal reliability no matter where in the world the facility is built. So we've covered the anatomy, the power flow, the critical maintenance schedules, and the incredibly strict safety standards of Busbar Trunking Systems. It truly is a marvel of modern electrical engineering that keeps our biggest, most complex structures alive and running. But I want to leave you with this one thought. Is your facility's power distribution really as safe and efficient as it could be? Take these principles, take a hard look at your own infrastructure, and make sure you're powering the future safely. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.